Students, this is for exercise 1C. This is for InDesign. We are going to do this exercise on creating a new document in InDesign. And the first thing I want you to do is to launch InDesign, and then you have that new document window come up similar to what we did in Illustrator and Photoshop. And for this one, of course, we're going to create a new document. And we're going to let it default to custom. Of course, we have a lot of different custom spaces, and it shows different pixels. This is great when you're trying to create something custom that you've worked on before, and maybe your job is requiring that you have several different ones, different pixel sizes. This in particular, we're just going to let default to the first custom one that comes up, and then we're going to name it your last name. It's my last name, and I'm going to do Ex1c. This will also default to the extension INDD. It's worth noting that you have different options up here for print, web, and mobile. That is really important to know. For this in particular, we're going to do print. And then, you can let it default to letter if you want, and then make sure you switch over to inches. You've got your name up here. And then I also want to mention that that you can get a lot of different templates here that are free. You've got these little template sets and stuff like that. I do not want anyone, when they get into the graphic design program in particular, to default to templates. There's a really easy way to find out if it's a template. So I really want you to express your creativity yourself. Maybe use a template as a guide, because of course they all help, and we mimic a lot of things that we see, and I encourage that. You won't have to worry so much about that in this class, but I'm just moving forward if you are going into the graphic design program. So INDD will be the default extension here, but also .idml will be something we will export to later. A lot of times what ends up happening is we're trying to work between systems, and you might have an older version of InDesign and I have a newer version of InDesign. So in order to talk to each other and me to open up your files, you're going to have to export to InDesign markup language, and I'll show you exactly how to do that at a later time. But for now, save it as exercise 1C. Let the extension fall in as it does when we save. Again, width 8.5, height 11, orientation we're going to keep portrait, pages we're going to set to 10. We are going to not click facing pages. We're going to unclick that. If you happen to have it clicked, no big deal. Just note that what ends up happening at facing pages is your pages will be located right next to each other as if you're opening a magazine. And if you have it unchecked, then what will end up happening, you'll have one page that you'll be able to view at a time. Okay, and then you're going to want to start the page at 1. That's normal for random projects, but if you're working on booklets, you might want to start the page, some kind of book, at like 5. For example, if you had a table of contents prior to that, that's what that's for. Columns, let's set columns to 3, and the gutter, let's set to 1,667. I think that was how it was in the beginning. We'll let that default to 0.1667, and then margins I like to set to 0.25 and keep it all the same. Make all settings the same. There is no need for a bleed and slug. I'm going to avoid that for this one, but normally, again, we did a bleed in Illustrator. You'll have bleeds a lot of times in InDesign, and that will be 0.125, like the standard bleed size. Slugs are little areas below each page that might give a little, that will actually print along with the page for any kind of proofs or digital mock-ups. where you might want an area, custom marks or job information, like important information you're trying to tell the printer. So if you export and produce that and you send it to your vendor, your printer, then you can give them specific information in the slug area. Okay, go ahead and we're gonna say create. And you can see our 3 columns. And you can see that my workspace defaulted to maybe what I was working on before. So I'm going to close this. It doesn't give me a lot of room. I'm going to go ahead and again reset my essentials. And then it allows me to sort of close those panels that might be in the way right now. And I see my margin, 0.25. It's portrait. And then if I scroll, I've got a single page at a time. My pages are not facing pages. Okay, go ahead and save this. File, save as. We've already named it. It will default as an INDD document, which is here. Now, if we're gonna, I doubt any of you are gonna be working from Creative Suite 4 or later, or earlier. So you're probably gonna want to save it as an IDML if you're working on Central Campus. I will send you a note back and tell you to do so if you submit without saving as an IDML in Design Markup language. This allows me, from a 2019 perspective, to access your earlier file, which is loaded on the campus computers. So, but if you're working from your home computer and you're accessing Creative Cloud and you're paying for a subscription, go ahead and just save it as an InDesign doc or as the INDD document. And if I do a save, that's what will show up. You notice now up here it says INDD for InDesign. If you're working from campus, it'll say IDML. Okay, go ahead and save this and then compress it as a zip file again and submit to the Exercise 1C submission link in JetNet. I'll see you in the next video.